Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to History Lessons. I'm your host, the journalist Sin-seer, and tonight we have a very special guest, Dwayne Muffla. Simon, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
That's right. That's right. That's right. At your disposal.
No doubt. Going to talk a little bit of history, go back in time, and then see what you got going on in 2025. But for
Okay.
those who may not know, where were you born and raised?
I was born in South, I'm gonna say South Central, but more closer to Watts than anything. Everybody always claims Compton when they from California and from the LA area. I'm claiming Watts, baby.
Right. Take us back to a day in the life, teenage years for you in Watts.
Teenage years for me in Watts. I grew up on the edge of Watts at 120th and Avalon, right by Ujima Village, Locke High School. Um, dang, what else is there? By George Washington Carver Park, the Watts Towers, 103rd and Wadsworth, Grape Street. You know, those are my stomping grounds. That's where I started out at. And then I spent a lot of time in Compton, 133rd and Central. My mother, she grew up in Compton. She went to Centennial High School and Enterprise and, junior high and all that stuff. So, yeah, my family, born Compton. Yeah, Compton, Watts, that's all. South Central. We all over that bad boy.
Take us back to some early musical influences. Before you got into music yourself, what were you listening to?
Before I got into music, okay, let me go back to the beginning. I was raised, I'm not gonna say in the church, but yeah, in the church. My mother, my grandmother, my sister, they all played pianos and directed choirs. And back when you're 8, 9, 7, 10 years old, your mama make you go to church. Don't get in the choir. She gonna make you sing a solo. All that stuff. But my musical influence came from my cousin, Roger Clayton. He was the head of Uncle Jam's Army, rest in peace. And he's the one that actually got me into, the secular side of music. And, I didn't know what secular and gospel was the difference back then. But, this boy would listen to the radio all the time. That's all Roger would do.
Mm.
And he was my music. Roger Clayton definitely was my number one musical influence because he was so deep into it. That was his life.
Right.
He could tell you, who recorded what, when, where, how, what tape they used, and everything. Everything about music. That boy, man, walking thesaurus.
So, what was your first foray into music? Was it DJing earlier on, singing? How did
My
you get into
first,
music?
my first foray into music was, I have to say, it was Uncle Jam's Army. As far as DJing, I
Hmm.
mean, back then we wasn't really scratching. The West Coast DJs, we did more riding records and that type of stuff. But I got into riding records, watching Roger, and watching the other like Dave Funkenstein, I mean, and Bleeps. Those are the early DJs of Uncle Jam's Army. And by the way, I don't know if you know this. Just a side note, it really was a side note. It's been, on our hearts and minds from Uncle Jam's Army all week. But we just lost Dave Dr. Funkenstein Storms, the original day one DJ of Uncle Jam's Army. He was with Unique Dreams Entertainment before we became Uncle Jam. He just passed away from prostate cancer. Rest in peace, Dave. It was a big loss. It was unexpected, because we thought he was on his way back to recovery.
Hmm.
But Dave is, yeah, we just lost a Uncle Jam's Army soldier. So
Rest in peace.
yeah.